So this is kind of like a short part 2. I only have a 10-minute limit on some of these videos because of Instagram and TikTok. So this part 2 is that this little girl was drawing the beings. I was like the unicorns, and she had drawn the blue avians. A blue avian had come through at one point and was Sarah was channeling. When this happened, Sarah was channeling some sort of language, and a blue avian popped in and showed me its face and everything. And I was like, oh, it's not just me, my guides and realms and stuff activating. This is actually the one she's channeling right now. And so the girl had drawn that. She had drawn the unicorns, and it validated everybody. They were like, oh my God, how did she draw that? And you were the one just telling us the story, type of thing. There was all kinds of stuff like that happened. These cool things. And like there was a point where she was doing a very like serpenty sound, dragon sound. That was her Naga guide, and the Naga guide came in. I could see the Naga guide, which is a snake being from the Hydra systems constellation. And so I could see the guides, like she would be channeling and the guides would come through because I was astrally and I could perceive them, like standing, using the vessel, puppeteering it, if you want to use that word. And it was just phenomenally fascinating to see how this all came together. Now I don't know how it's going to go with my own personal events when I'm not sharing that space, because I don't do the light language, and they don't enter my body. They work through me and work with me, but they don't enter my body. We have so many things going on that there's like groups. Like, so when this event was going on, you had the galactics. There's like tons of galactics talking to each other. Okay, how are we going to do this? What energies are we putting in? What do we give him? And then me stepping aside and then pouring energies in. There was one point where they built a device. So I was aside, everybody was done, and these interdimensional beings came, and I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, we're building a blower. And so within my system, energetic system, these galactics were sitting there, and there's this light, and they started assembling a blower in my heart space, in like this energetic thing, and it looked like a tube and with a fan on it, and they put it together. It took them a couple minutes, and there were a bunch of them around. And I don't know what was happening at the time, that I don't remember what was happening, but they were building this, and then they activated it, and it blew energy through me into the room and around into the people for some galactic codes. So they were using interdimensional technologies, and some of the people were feeling that. Like they said they could feel, they were like holding their hands like they had something had been given to them, or the energy was like forming and that sort of thing. There were, what else happened? I mean, a lot of the messaging that I saw that I gave people was like their guides telling them, you need to work on your health issues, you need to work on this, you need to work on that, type of thing. Oh, the other cool thing was, that's what it was. So when it got to time to ask questions, people had questions. I knew they had questions long before they had them, because their guide would be like, hey, please call on her. Please call on her. It was also a group of all women. I think my next event, I have one masculine coming, and this was all women, which is typical for what I've experienced in the community. Women are more awake. And so it was, and I don't know why I said that. For some reason, that might be a message for somebody. But they started saying like, pick on this person, and they were fascinated because people would be asking questions, and I'd answer it, Sarah would answer it, and then I'd look over and okay, you have a question, what is it? And they'd be like, yeah, I do. How do you know this? And then because they're telling me, you have a question. There was a point where I had to quiet the room because the one woman's energy is retracted, and so she had a question, and she's like, yeah, I have a question, and she started asking it, and it was this thing where, because of her energy, all kinds of side conversations started. So it's like everybody turned and started talking to each other, and they were talking over each other, and I couldn't hear anything. So I clapped once, nobody heard it. I clapped twice, nobody heard it. Finally, I just slammed my hands together as hard as I could, and I went, hey, we've got to stop these side conversations. We got to focus here and answer this. So I let her ask her question, and then I said, hey, look, did you see what happened there? And she goes, like, it got really loud and everything, something like that. And I'm like, yeah, so your energy's retracted, and my guides are telling me, like, you have questions, but you're kind of afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. And what's happening is, like, and this is kind of a message for those of you out here who are like this. What's happening is, if when you have a question and you're afraid to ask it, when it comes time for you to ask your question, distractions come up, projections go out, and energy goes out, and people who aren't aware of it being a projection or an energy and aren't in full control and are just like in the energy and flowing with it, they start doing the thing that you're afraid of doing, which is like not being seen or not being heard or that sort of thing. So that was a big thing, kind of lesson for people. And it was really just fascinating, because then I'd go around the room and I'd be like, okay, they're saying there's a question somewhere right here, and I can't tell who it is. And then it was like one person on the end, or there's a question over here. So I knew beforehand everybody who had a question. And then I don't know where I was going with that. I'm kind of losing it right now. There was just a lot that happened. Sarah did an amazing job doing her channeling, bringing through beings and the light codes and stuff, and I didn't experience or witness it. I was behind her astrally. Her boyfriend Tony was there helping. He was an awesome guy. And so I guess there was a masculine in the room, but it wasn't like a masculine who came out of the purpose of purchasing a ticket. He was kind of there by, he wanted to be there, but he was there by circumstance and that type of thing too. So he was an awesome guy. Sarah was awesome. If you're on Long Island, it's gonna be a really nice place to do event work and that sort of thing. I'll be back to that area. And it was just a phenomenal night. So I want to do more of these. I'm definitely doing more of these. It's like my authentic thing to do. And then to meet everybody was really awesome. To see everybody in person, you don't see them or feel their energy as well as you do in person when you're on a Zoom call or something. So this was a great experience, and anybody who has the chance to see me in that experience, I'm going to be reaching out to those who went to this event and asking for, some reviews and that sort of thing, testimony, what they experienced, if they're willing to write it up. So if you're watching this and you went to it, please, let me know if you are willing. I'll be reaching out in a few days, and then I'm going to have other events. I have plans for Phoenix, Flagstaff, Sedona area, plans for Texas, the California coast, and some other places, and then coming back over to the East Coast. And it's kind of haphazard right now. I'm waiting till after Mercury retrograde, post shadow, that energy kind of affects my stuff more, so I wait till after it to plan things. And then once that's done, I'm going to try to firm up an East Coast thing. So those of you who have reached out from like Pittsburgh, I'll come back to New York, probably upper New York, possibly the like New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine area somewhere, those sorts of things. So I'm trying to figure all that out. And once I do, I'll put together a schedule, and we'll do some events and meet people, and hopefully get you seeing some beings and experiencing them, and activating you. That's the big thing. After this event, my guides were very much like, it's going to take a couple weeks for these to take. They said 3 weeks for most people, and then things are going to shift. So very happy with this overall. Thank you everybody who did join and who was interested in doing events, and just let me know if you have any questions about anything. I love you all. I'm grateful for each and every one of you.